couple things I could talk about today, but I think we're gonna do a little sit down instead of the vlog for day 4, just because it was raining on December 4th, and today's December 5th, so it's kind of like a little cheat, but like it was raining yesterday, and I was gonna record the sit down yesterday, but everybody had came back to the hostel, like all the girls were in the room, and I felt uncomfortable doing it. I'm a little like nervous about that stuff, but I think this sit down's gonna be about, I think we'll discuss Workaway. Okay, I think I'll finally do it. Yeah, so Workaway is a site where you work in exchange for housing, for food, and I've had 2 experiences so far, both in the last 2 months, and I've had one great experience and one like mediocre, leaning towards like rather crappy experience. So I'm gonna talk about both, and like honestly just like I guess a little story time about my Workaway. So that's what we'll call this, story time about Workaways. So one Workaway that I did in Spain. So I've only done 2, but I really enjoy long-term workaways. Like I like staying in places for a long time. Like I like slow traveling. So I really enjoy like just staying in the same place. So I did one, both were for like 3 weeks. So the first one was 3 weeks in, alright, there we go. I actually am now holding you up on my GoPro, which is funny, but I don't want to film this on the GoPro. I just want it to be a bit more homey. Alright, there we go. Some ASMR cracking. But yeah, this is so much more comfortable. So it's still a little hunched, but I can't get it straight on yet. So anyways, yeah, I think, so I had a one Workaway experience in Spain, in Sevilla, in the south. It was like between Sevilla and Carmona. And we worked, Noah and I were doing it together, and we were working on like a lavender farm slash like, I'll say apple orchard, orange orchard, and honestly, best thing ever. Like the work was like very hard, like physically hard work, but like I live for physically hard work. Like I really enjoy like the satisfaction of like field work, like just like creating something, like knowing like, okay, like this field or this garden looks the way because of me. You know, it's like a self-pride thing. And I helped her with her garden, I chopped down trees with a chainsaw, and it was like just awesome. The whole experience rocked. We like cut up trees, we burnt wood, we like cleared out her field so like she can have a just like better harvest for the next, I don't know when harvest season is for oranges, genuinely, if I can be honest with everybody, but so she could have a better harvest season. And yeah, it was really amazing. The food was great. We were there with 2 other people, me and Noah, 2 other Workawayers. The food, everybody could cook. Everybody was like popping out meals that were great. It was like really amazing. And I was like, nice. It was about like 25 hours a week, so 5 hours a day, like between 9 to 2. And yeah, it was really nice. It was like a lot of like, I would help out with inside housework, so I would do sweeping. I would make like homemade fresh squeezed orange juice. I don't know if you call it, do you call it homemade or do you call it just fresh squeeze? But like I would make fresh squeezed orange juice. I helped out with like DIY projects at the house, like I learned how to make like wood paste glue out of like wood shavings, I think that's what it was like. And just like I learned so much about like farming and gardening, and it was fascinating. We planted so many herbs, and it just like was like amazing. Noah liked it too. Noah did more, I guess, like they were clearing out like undesirable trees from the area for most of the time, while my primary task at the beginning was like straightening up the house and like getting stuff done in that regard. And then I helped, once they were done clearing that, I could clear out all the like the hard ones with a chainsaw, because I'm certified to use one. Shout out to the Forest Service for that. Shout out to Conservation Corps. So I did that. So I was able to do it once they were done and get all the trees that they couldn't get out with just like what am I looking for? A katana boy. Why am I like? I think it's called katana boy if I remember. I'm like blanking on that name, but yeah. So we had that, and then it was amazing. I think honestly, like that's my standard now for like a Workaway. Like that's my standard for a good Workaway, or like a great one, I should say, not a great Workaway. So then, jumping off of this like great Workaway, I stayed at a week in hostels in Barcelona, which was like really nice. I was kind of recouping, planning out my next move. So I was looking for a Workaway in France. Now, primarily I would have worked, there was one I really wanted to do, but they had a time commitment frame of a month and a half, and I just didn't have a month and a half here. I was leaving December 10th, and so I booked one that was like shorter, that was like more last minute, and I wanted to do a farm one again, but I couldn't find a farm one that like was within my time constraints in terms of like, you know, some people were like, oh, you could start here, start then, like at this time, but like I need somebody for at least a month or 3 weeks, and it just wasn't working on my schedule. So I found one for a school, for an after school program in kind of near Marseilles, and the woman talked on the phone, seemed all dandy, and then I went. You know, honestly, it just like wasn't the ideal. I mean, I wouldn't say it was like horrible or I was like, oh my god, this is like the worst thing ever, but I would say on a scale from like 1 to 10, it was like a 4 or 5. It just wasn't ideal. Some of it's on me, and some of it's on, I mean, a lot of it's on, you know, the host for misleading the listing, but a lot of it, I should have asked more questions. So that's like a Workaway tip, always ask questions, even if it says on the site, on the listing, what you're doing and how many hours, ask those questions, because sometimes there will be changes and they won't be updated. People. But basically it was supposed to be an after school program, and then that was 15 hours a week, and I was going to be helping out with the ESL program. So I was like, okay, cool, I have teaching experience, it was an ESL program for after school, like 15 hours, and I was like, okay, cool, sounds good, G. Which it implied mornings were off, and I said, oh, this will work perfectly because there's a 30-minute bus to Marseilles. If I get up early, a couple, like maybe once or twice, I'll go to Marseilles for the morning and then come back right before after school, which is like 4, and then I'm like, it'll be great. But that's not what it was. So I went, and then there was a couple red flags from the jump, like right when I got there, and I should have been known. So in the listing, it said I'd stay either in the English room or a room in her house, and she had me staying in like a she shack in the backyard that was like done up to be a room. It had like a bathroom and stuff like that, and like a shower. And I was like, okay, this is all right. Like, this is nice. It was pretty cold in there, and the heater was behind a dresser, so it was a fire hazard. And then when I did try to turn it on, it didn't heat up the room because it was blocked by a dresser, and I was just like, oh my god. So anyway, I didn't have a heater that I could access properly, and then the shower was ice cold. I could not get the shower to heat up. I was like, oh my god. So I was like, I'll bring this up to her like tomorrow maybe. So then I was like, okay, yeah, I'll bring this up to her tomorrow, blah blah. So then, you know, all that happened, all that's dandy. That night it's cold, and yeah, I only had one blanket and one pillow, which kind of sucked, but it's okay. So the next 8:10, I guess say the night before, it's because we were having dinner, and she said, oh, we're gonna be leaving at 8:10 tomorrow in the morning. And I was like, 8:10? I was like, oh, okay. But I was kind of confused because I was like, why are we leaving at 8:10 when, like, it's supposed to be an after school program? So I was confused. Anyways, we work from 8:30 to 11:30, and I'm thinking, okay, cool, maybe I just did up down in the morning, I'm done for the day. Well, then when we go back home for lunch, and then she's like, we're gonna leave again at like 1:10, and I was like, 1:10, we're leaving again. And then we went back from 1:30 to 4:30, and then she said I could stop for the day, but I had to sit there and wait till 6:45 so she could drive me home, or else it would be a 3-mile walk in the cold and dark. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna sit here and wait. So then the next day, the exact same thing, and then I brought my laptop, so I was like, I'll do some work and use the Wi-Fi. Oh, because that was another thing. The shack got no Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi was all in the house, so it did not reach the shack, so I didn't have any Wi-Fi, and I was like, ugh. So then, there's the daily canon. And then I was like, okay, you know, I didn't have any Wi-Fi, so I said I'll bring my laptop and use the Wi-Fi at the school. Perfect. And then she didn't know the Wi-Fi password. And I was like, can you find it? And she, like, didn't ask for the whole day. So I didn't have Wi-Fi that day. And then, I didn't have access to a kitchen. Like, she had her kitchen, and, like, she would be always in it cooking something. And now I don't want to sound, like, ungrateful because she did make me meals. It just, like, wasn't food I would want to eat if I could be, like, honestly polite. In a way, it was just, like, okay, but I would, like, eat it just to, like, eat something. But, it was just, like, I am not a picky eater, but there's, like, a certain food I don't I'm not gonna lie, I don't like beans with ketchup. Controversy, I don't like beans with ketchup. And if I had to eat it one more time, I was gonna cry. It's just, I just don't like it. It's a texture thing for me and everything. But anyways, so I was like, oh my goodness, like this is insane. These hours are insane. So I'd be busy from 8:30 or 8:10 to 7 at night when I would get home. Then I would help sometimes for kids with homework. And I'm just like, dude, this is ridiculous. From 8:30 to 7, this is like almost a 12-hour day. And like it's under the guise that I'm only working 6, so there's these like weird breaks, but it's like, this is awful. Like this is not like what I want to do for the next 3 weeks. Like I'm not gonna have any time to travel. Because then she was about like working Friday and Saturday, and I was like, no. So anyways, and then on top of this, all the kids, this was the so they said the straw that broke the camel's back. All the kids were sick. Every single last one was sick. Usually it's like 1 or 2. No, it's like every kid was sick. And then that Friday, I woke up with a dry throat, and that Thursday I had a crazy headache, and I was scared I was getting sick. Now the issue is I didn't know if the headache was from feeling sick or if it was caffeine withdrawal, because she didn't drink caffeine. She was a no caffeine household, and I hadn't had coffee for the whole week. Get away. As I was saying, if your Workaway is going like pretty like awful, like I'm talking like 0 out of 10, like you're like, this is like awful, like you're being exploited, I would leave without saying anything. I would just ghost them. And that's like a safety tip for me. I refuse to do Workaways that are not able to be left, but all like on my own accord. Like if like I don't do like the off-grid and the backcountry ones, just because like you never know what can happen. Like if they want you to work like 50-hour weeks and you're like, well, I can't leave, and it's like awkward, and then I was kind of like very polite about it. I didn't like fully go into it. It's like, I'm not gonna grill this lady. Like she's been relatively like nice, but I was like, oh blah blah blah. I'm not feeling well. I don't want to continue doing it. I don't feel good using your resources. And she gave me a lot of pushback. I was like, no, stay. Like, we'll see how you feel. Then you come back Wednesday. And I was like, no, like I'm like done with this. So I'm like trying to be polite and quit. Then like, so then the next day or that night I said, I'm just gonna go tomorrow no matter what. Like I can't like do this for another week, because it just wasn't worth it. And so then I booked a hostel, and then texted her the next morning and was like, well, first I looked for her and she wasn't around. So then I sent her a text and was like, hey, I'm leaving, blah, 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 this whole thing. And then she read it and then didn't get back to me till 7 p.m., 6 p.m. And he was like, hey, I just got home. I want to talk about it with you. Where are you at? And I was like, I left already. Like, I don't know that you think I was gonna sit there and wait for her, like, consent. Like, I don't know what the deal was. Basically, she was like, I'm so shocked. Like, I can't believe I was working. And it's like, well, like, okay, I understand that, but, like, what am I gonna do about it? But, yeah, so I left, and it was awkward. And, it's taught me a lot about Workaway and, like, what to do. I think just, like, always ask questions. I'm gonna always ask questions about hours, about expectations, like, because like technically this was a 7-hour day, technically. I went over, I think, but spread out between like 12, and it's like, that's not fun. Like that's an awful schedule, because like I didn't come out here to teach and work. If I was getting paid, it's one thing. I came out here to travel and like do it cheaply, and like I'm giving you labor in exchange for that, and you're taking away my ability to travel because your schedule's whack. I think I want to start reaching out to other Workawayers who've done it. Like the Sunny Center work. So this Workaway had all 5-star reviews. I have not left one yet. I'm like still debating what to do. But like this lady has all 5-star reviews, or this host has all 5-star reviews all across the board, and because there was a change in her schedule, and her personal schedule at the school, and so she's doing more hours, and I guess expects the Workawayers to like also do that instead of just doing the after school program, but she doesn't mention it in her listing. And then I think also it wouldn't have been as bad if I came when the weather was warmer and the sun was out later, but like it was just like a lot of factors. So always look up the region, make sure the hours are good, and always have an escape plan out. Alright, there's my thing for the day. Alright, bye guys, see you tomorrow.